There we go. I unmuted my mic. I'm just going to double check first that this is actually working.
Mm-hmm.
I see live coverage Beryl. Gonna double check first. Alright, can you guys say something?
Hello,
Or see if
Stop.
this
hello,
is actually working.
hello.
Hello.
Hola,
Mm-hmm.
¿cómo está?
I see live coverage Beryl. Gonna double check first. Alright, can you guys say something?
Hello,
Or see if
Stop.
this... Alright, it works. Nice, perfect.
hello.
And I'm gonna make
Cool.
sure the other one's working as well. Yes it is. Perfect. There we go. We have 2 live streams up now. That is perfect. Whoa, 32 people already watching. Okay, nice. Um,
Yeah.
so yeah, let me go over to the.
Your whole Discord instantly now.
So here's the current radar presentation on the storm. Right now, you can see the northern side appears to be the strongest. Would you all agree on that?
Yeah.
I would agree.
Oh yeah, northeast.
Northeast.
That underwent a pretty different structure over the past few hours than what it's actually had, but it's not any better per se.
Yeah,
Um,
notice a lot more lightning activity in the north side, northwest side.
I would say it's
looks like a
horrible.
VHT there. That's what it looks like.
Yep.
Doesn't look like a horrible presentation,
Is
but it's
this
still
also part
very
of the jet interaction it's trying to go through? Would you say, or no? Just a vertical heat
I would
channel.
say
I don't even know if it's gonna make a full bona fide hurricane landfall.
It
I don't
should.
think it'll
it's going to be borderline, but basically the issue right now, like this storm's had a couple of issues the past couple days. I
Mm-hmm.
might as well actually just introduce the timeline of what Beryl is
Yeah.
went through here. So Beryl made landfall on the Yucatan Peninsula, and it weakened considerably. Actually, pretty much more than all the models expected, and it was looking good, and then it collapsed at the last minute. And what we found out, and really the HAFIS models nailed this. The HAFS A and B both nailed this evolution, where basically we saw a very large air mass of the Mexican plateau that was extremely dry. I mean, we're talking mid-level relative humidity values that were very, very, very low, under 10% in some
Yeah.
areas. And basically, what happened was is the system entrained that into the circulation, and had really been struggling to fire thunderstorms, sustain them, and overnight the system looked really bare, like almost nothing going on. Which usually with a tropical system you'd expect the opposite, where at
Yeah.
night it's blowing up convection, but the dry air was causing a really stable
Can
air
I
mass
interject
overnight.
here? Beryl
Sure.
has been upgraded to a hurricane.
Oh,
Okay,
they
well, I
just
spoke
upped it?
That
to
timing's
Beryl.
crazy, but okay.
All right. Beryl,
Yes, Beryl is now a hurricane again.
Oh, wow. Okay, yep. Data from the National Weather Service Doppler radar near Houston, Texas, and reports from Air Force Reserve Hurricane Hunter aircraft indicate that Beryl's maximum sustained winds have increased to near 75 miles per hour. Based on this data, Beryl is upgraded to a hurricane. Additional strengthening is expected before landfall on the Texas coast. There is a buoy with a wind gust of 74 miles per hour. Interesting. And pressure is down to 985
Oh,
millibars.
Interesting.
I mean,
Nine
it did seem
what
like
pressure?
a 985.
985. Okay. So
they
I
upped the
guess it makes
storm.
sense.
They upped the storm surge to 9 feet now too.
Wait, 9
9
feet?
feet?
9 feet. Yeah,
Oh,
Nine.
they
wow.
upgraded it to 9.
Oh, okay.
Keep
Okay.
reading. Yeah,
Wow.
it's getting worse.
Oh, where'd they post that?
Do.
Released
Oh,
a product. I know they released a tropical cyclone update, but
do. Let me see.
I don't see anything on that.
is it posted by Corpus Christi? Wait,
Look at that, and then also go check with see what January said
Oh,
let
where?
me go check.
in barrel chat.
Can you post it
They
in
up.
the our group chat? That way, so it's
Yeah.
easier to see. Thank you.
Yeah, he posted that it from himself that they upped it to 9 feet, 9 feet in his area,
All
which
right.
I believe he is in
9 feet
Freeport.
area in Corpus Christi.
I'm going hunting for the
Let's see.
information right now. Just give me one
Yeah, I
second.
don't know about.
All right,
Oh,
give me
Windy
time
is saying nine. Nah, it's I don't. It's not up to 9 feet yet. They would not. They would show us if they didn't. They would make a new product on it. Still, let's take a look at that storm surge graphic actually now. You can see from San Luis Pass all the way to Port O'Connor, that area is 4 to 7 feet of storm surge. It could be, it all depends on where the system hits. The east side will
Uh,
get the worst storm surge of it out of the area. 4 to 6
Agreed.
feet from San Luis Pass all the way to Sabine Pass. That includes Galveston Bay, 4 to 6 feet. And then, of course, lower storm surge amounts in Louisiana and to the west of wherever it makes landfall. So,
Yeah,
no tornado warnings in effect, it seems like, and the special marine
not
warnings,
yet.
no, they're out.
it, will-
We did have
we'll,
one.
we'll
We have
start,
to.
we'll start to pop up as we get more shear interaction with the outer bands. So currently, right now, we're just starting to get outer bands really start to landfall here near Houston,
We haven't.
this area.
We have to actually have the system landfall first because clearly right now it's not quite time.
Yeah, it'll take a bit for this system to make landfall, and only then will it start to produce its tornado threat as well as its flash flooding threat, with an additional storm surge threat that's currently ongoing right now
Yep,
due to the hurricane.
take a look at all the rotations that are now headed towards Treasure
Okay,
Island.
so
Yeah,
so yeah,
yeah.
this
The
this is
beginning
an
of.
example of the outer bands getting sheared. As you can see, whenever you see a red and green touch, if they line up with the radar beam, that's rotation in the atmosphere. And so hurricanes, whenever they go on land, they get like sheared because they're shear on land,
Yep,
different varying
They
heights, different levels, obviously.
Yeah, so it's mainly frictional. That's
Yeah,
a
so you
frictional
have
influence.
frictional height changes, and these height changes change like the wind speed, and it causes the structure like the hurricane, as we saw over the Yucatan and over Jamaica, to weaken quickly because of that.
yep,
Given the shear and how frictional it is, whenever you get wind shear to cause differential height differences, and that causes the wind speed differences across all different layers of the clouds and whatnot that
yeah,
form like this hurricane, these thunderstorms basically. That creates an environment for tornadoes because it gives them spin. Is
yes.
basically what I'm saying.
The whole
And so when you
Yeah.
Freeport area needs to be looking out for
yeah,
these. Recently, they've gotten a lot of
so
spin
so
ups that have been moving
little
across.
there's going to be a lot of little spin ups. All these tornadoes are most likely going to be very weak tornadoes. They're going to be
Yes.
very weak tornadoes, but there's still going to be tornadoes, and weak tornadoes can still do damage. They can still uproot trees, weak trees, small
Um,
trees, may I add. They can still damage outbuildings. They can still cause other sorts of minor damage, and they can be dangerous, even if it's like a really weak tornado. Even if you can stand in it, they're still dangerous, and you should take shelter immediately if you are under a tornado warning.
yep, and you should be in your safe place right
Yeah.
now, because the conditions are only going to get worse in these areas. Um, so you
Right.
should not be out and about
It's-
right now.
Yeah, so it's
Um,
Not a good idea to be out right now.
they were saying 9, 10 o'clock Central Daylight Time. People should have been inside
Agreed.
because that's when the bands were going to start hitting.
Yeah,
Um, it is
and
looking like though the general trending eastern movement is now stopped and it is trending west again. It was just a wobble on the graph.
Hmm.
So we're looking at more Texas than anything now. That that eastern trend, it's just a wobble. I wouldn't see
yeah,
that doing that again.
The center's somewhere in here, wouldn't you all agree?
it's
yeah.
Oh yeah.
it's probably like circle that. Hold on, here I'll take a screenshot.
That's exactly where it is. I think
I mean, here's
that's
your
exactly
wall
where the is.
eyeball right
But I
here,
would have,
so.
but I would have to say like this is like your wall here.
Oops, I made a straight line. Oops.
Yeah.
So it's going to be trying to move, if I could draw. Okay, I'm trying to make a little curve draw. Oh my god. Ugh, okay. It's going to try and move this way. Wouldn't you all agree?
Yes,
Somewhat, yeah.
Mostly.
Overall,
Yep.
very close to that
It's
path.
still
Most
going
likely.
north-northwest at this time.
overall, yeah. So
Oh, oh, my apologies. Go ahead.
we I was going to talk about it looks a little bit better now. Actually, it seems like we have a couple things going on. So First of all, we have a vortical hot tower on the west side, which is helping to generate some vorticity and tighten up a core.
Mm-hmm.
It's not a tight core, though. I mean, overall. But it is helping. And then we do have overall a bit better of convection around the center on that east side. These very bandy systems take a long time, especially when they have this large of a radius of max wind. They take a long time to actually tighten up.
Yep.
And that's what we've seen through the day is like this system has just been very slow. It's been very slow at everything. And it's pretty much wasted a lot of its time over the Gulf just trying to get a decent structure to intensify.
Yes.
Um, and yeah, and then I was going to touch on the tornado threat as well after again.
Mm-hmm. Let's pull that up
Um,
from the Storm Prediction Center. I got 3 slight risks.
yeah.
There's our main tornado threats. Let me pull up their mesoscale discussion on it.
So
Yep, here it is. You want to touch on this?
yeah, so these bands, I mean, they obviously already have wind shear. However, the actual wind shear is enhanced when you're on land because friction will slow down the surface level wind, and then it'll enhance the wind. Well, it won't enhance the wind above it. It'll make the difference greater.
Yeah.
So, especially in the low levels where tornadoes like to form, hurricanes have a lot of low level shear in their outer bands because of friction. They have a lot of low level shear when they're on land, and when they make landfall, their outer bands will take precedence over their inner cores
Yep.
a bit. Their outer bands will become stronger than their inner core convection. It's just something that happens after landfall. It'll always happen to a system.
Yes.
And what a lot of the high res models are suggesting is that a lot of those bands are going to be in the right front quadrant where you have the best kinematics for any potential tornado risk.
Yep.
So overall, this should be a pretty long period of overall just brief tornadoes throughout across really a large area.
And as the
And
system moves north, those
work-
bands are going to work their way up to the north and east.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
it's now a good time to talk about the future impacts of Hurricane Beryl at this time. So, one of the things that's very obvious about Hurricane Beryl, if we go take a look at the rainfall potential
Yep, here it
here,
is.
the amount of rainfall that we could be expecting in some parts can be up to about from 8 to 12 inches. Keep in mind, Houston is still recovering from the effects of Hurricane Harvey, even after 7 years.
Mm-hmm.
So, you have to keep in mind that
Also, the derecho they've
even
gotten
though they're not
recently.
like dropping, even though they're not dropping like 5 to 6 feet of rainfall due to the hurricane just stalling over the area, it's still going to drop a very good amount of rainfall,
Mm-hmm.
which could contribute to the flash
Considerable,
flooding
yeah.
situation, especially since after what we saw in Houston about a month or two ago. Do you guys remember the videos coming out of Houston about the flash flooding
Yes.
there?
And recently
Yeah.
they've gotten a lot of rain.
Yeah,
Like
and
today.
it was only 6 inches of rainfall if I recall correctly,
Well, yeah.
and it could do that.
It all
So
depends
when
on
you
how
have
fast
rain,
the
if you have
rainfall actually
yeah,
falls.
if you have rainfall forecasts like up from 8 to 12 inches near Houston, with 4 to 6 inches forecasted straight onto Houston, that could be a potentially, you know, interesting situation.
Yeah.
We're gonna have to see how the flash flooding threat develops, but
Hopefully
any
the system moves
anywhere,
quickly
yeah,
past it.
anywhere can get flash flooding, from all the way near the Corpus Christi area to Fort Smith. I would say has the best flash flooding threat
I'd say a
out
little
of
bit
all
more
the
east from Port
areas.
Lavaca all the way to
Yeah,
Galveston, that area.
yeah, and then that extends up all the way to near Texarkana. So for these
Yep.
areas, you could potentially see flash flooding. I mean, I think that's pretty set in stone. Flash flooding is expected with this tropical cyclone,
I'd say
and as we keep moving
gradual
north,
flooding.
gradually, gradual flash flooding, although it could be expected
Here's
eventually given enough time.
here's what I'm worried about. I'm worried about this system taking its slow time and hitting Houston and just dumping rain for hours on end, and then we
Oh,
get this
don't
mass.
worry about that. I think okay. I'm pretty sure
Hold
that
on.
Hurricane Beryl, given its time, we're gonna go from 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. That's 12 hours, and that's only moved 200. Oh,
So
Let
the main
me
thing
let me
about the
actually take a look at some
system
stuff.
is it's going to fall apart to the point where the northern side of it's going to be all the rain, which by the time it
Mhm.
passes Houston, that's what it's going to look like. So that's a really good thing that the areas that get a lot of rainfall are going to be lacking rainfall. It's going to be pulling in more drier air.
yeah.
You know,
Still,
mhm.
you're not gonna have to really worry about this too much. I mean, you're still gonna have to worry about the impacts about its landfall as well as the flash flooding risks, storm surge on the coast, and then tornadoes as well. That's another thing.
I
One
would
thing with
not rule flash flood emergency out of the question, though.
I don't think so
don't
though.
say that.
Just the amount of
Yeah, don't
um,
say that. 'Cause,
it'd have
yeah,
to be
I
a
mean that's
heavy band trailing.
yeah,
Yeah,
heavy,
that's what I'm
heavy
saying. I
band
don't. It's too early to tell
squad.
right now.
But given that if this hurricane does stall
It's
near
not
this
going to
area,
stall. It can't.
Mm,
oh yeah,
no.
It can't
it's
stall.
gonna keep moving. It's gonna move slow. It's gonna move slow. That's kind of the thing. Because from 7 a.m. on Monday, you have a hurricane landfall. You have hurricane on land, dropping heavy rainfall near the areas of Houston, anywhere from literally Bay City to Houston in this little area. And then it's gonna move